Hello, hello, and welcome to everybody to this wonderful virtual event to visionary coaches, all of you visionary coaches working online and ready to take your business to that next level. I am so excited about these wonderful, amazing experts who are so freely giving of their wisdom, their strategies, their tips, their tools, and their heart and soul to really help you to uplevel your business and make your transformational business wildly successful, which I believe we really can do in this day and age. It's so needed for us to bring our light into the world. So today I am introducing a really special guest. Her name is Eugenia Oganova, and I'm so excited about her message. She's got a powerful message, and I can't wait to deep dive into that. So welcome, Eugenia. I'm so glad to have you on here.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. I'm so glad to be here. It's really great to be able to impart on the more people pretty much my message. And I'm so glad that this is a community where there are so many other presenters and that the audience understands the message, because this is really important.
Yeah. And I can't wait to dive in and hear all about how you came to do what you do and your big message that you are sharing with the world. So let's kick off by just introducing yourself a little bit to our audience so that they know who you are and how you came to do this wonderful work that you do.
Okay, well, I'm Eugenia Oganova, as you said, and what I call myself is Conscious Energetics for Wealth, Conscious Wealth Energetics Business and Marketing Coach, which a lot of people don't quite understand what that means, but I'll explain that. What I do is I help coaches, healers, and holistic health professionals figure out how to live their purpose, their soul mission, what they actually meant to do in life through their business, and how to up level to multiple six figures without burnout or self-sacrifice. There's so many people who try to do that and they burn out because they do it incorrectly energetically. So what I teach and what I work with my clients on is the energetics of how to do so without the burnout, so that you have fulfillment and joy in your life, so that you actually feel like you're living your purpose and you're enjoying your business and your marketing the way that you meant to.
Oh, it sounds lovely. It sounds wonderful. So I am excited to jump into your tips and tools of how we can actually achieve this. So let's kick off with, what is conscious wealth energetics? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, most people understand to some extent what energetics is. Energetics is sort of the energy dynamics of our interaction in this third dimension in the material reality. So this material reality, the way I see it, is not just the only reality. There's multi-dimensional component to this that most people are not fully aware of. So what I am is a clairvoyant. That means I was born being able to see energy, being able to see timelines and possibilities and options for people, and what could happen and what is their potential and what their soul mission and what are the karmic blocks that are in the way. So my entire life I've been working with that gift one way or another with people. Pretty much for 25 years now I've been working with people. So as a coach, what I do, especially with the business professionals, is I help them figure out how to apply that energetics and what I see as far as their soul contract, their mission, what they meant to do here, and sort of bring it through into their business. So conscious wealth energetics, it's a combination of how to live in abundance of this universe by being conscious about your energetics. So the basic premise is that everything is a quantum field, and we all are components of that field, one way or another. If we know it or not, everything is one universe. And within that universe, we create different waves. In quantum physics, this is called wave, and a particle when is the physical stuff we see. So when the wave becomes the particle, in quantum physics, it's called collapsed potential. That means we essentially, by our focus, collapsed all the potential into a specific result, an outcome. So what I teach is essentially how to get the outcome that you want, because we're all collapsing potentials all the time by just breathing. But if you do this consciously and you're doing it through that wealth component, as in everything is abundance, right? The universe is an abundant place. Now you can consciously manifest the reality you are looking for. And it's a combination of a soul component and a strategy component. I'm one of those odd people that has multidimensional access and yet very practical. So I'm able to lend that into business and marketing strategy. But that's the premise of conscious wealth energetics, is that everything is consciousness. When we apply our personal consciousness onto the universal quantum field with abundance energy, we can pull out from that field whatever we desire.
I love that. And I love how you really position it, that we are really in control of how we are creating this, right? We are in control of how we collapse all of that potential into this one moment.
Exactly.
So you talked about the practical side of things. So obviously business strategy is a really core component of the work that you do. It's also a lot of what I focus on. And so I'm curious to hear your perspective around why business strategy is not enough to take us past that six-figure mark in our business.
There are a lot of people who get to six-figure mark by business strategy alone. That means some sort of a cookie cutter strategy that they learned that somebody else done. It worked for other people, so it will work for them. And mind you, all proven strategies are good, but there's a lot of pushing and willing and making it happen that's involved. And then the person gets to that $100,000 or $150,000 mark. Great. And then they burn out because nobody can sustain that level of pushing through somebody else's strategy, even if it works, because in the end, it doesn't work for us. And especially women. And I pretty much work with women entrepreneurs. So that's one thing that I've been seeing, which is why, my audience are women, is because for women, we need to have a balance between flow and action. So the action must be aligned, but the flow must be there for us to have space. When a woman doesn't have space, she just freaks out and burns out and gets overwhelmed and has anxiety and all this other stuff that everybody's kind of trying to override somehow, as if there is a life-work balance. There is no balance between the two. You just have to have the whole different strategy of how you're doing it. So that's why business strategy alone is not enough to go beyond that mark, because at that point, something unique that matching that specific person has to be entered in, so that the business strategy is modified into something that works for that specific individual. That's the soul mission and a sort of uniqueness component, like I call it unique brilliance, and there's a soul expertise, and then there is a specific audience that you already have essentially soul contract with, that you meant to be helping. Instead of running after everybody, you focus on very specific type of audience. You also get support in whatever way that works. And the same, by the way, for marketing strategy, not for just basic business strategy, because in marketing, so often people try to do whatever it is that they are told to do. And as I said, that works up to a certain mark, but then after a while, it's not sustainable. And to make anything sustainable, it has to feel so natural to us that we almost don't even feel like we're working, that we're doing it. It just feels like, we're just talking. Like right now, I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm talking about what I would be talking about anyway. That's what I mean by aligning that to something that goes beyond basic business or marketing strategy. And that other component is the conscious wealth energetics, which is unique, customized piece for each person that then is combined with the strategy to create a result.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know for a lot of people, there's a bit of fear that comes up when it comes to that, because especially if they built it up using somebody else's strategy, using something that worked, now they hit that six-figure mark. They can't continue in that hustle and grind energy and doing it the way that they did before. And the fear element comes in. And I know you talk about this as well, that even if somebody else's strategy worked for you before, you can't continue in their strategy and their energy, right? You've got to make it your own. And what is your advice for people who come up against those fear blocks in terms of, now I've got to shift, what if I'm going to alienate my audience or my clients that I've worked with? This worked in the past. How am I starting from scratch? What if it damages my business, the reputation and what people know me for? How can I just suddenly start doing something different? How do you typically help your people through those fear blocks that come up?
Well, first of all, I don't believe in discarding anything. I believe that every single thing that we have ever done is benefit to us one way or another. But what kind of way we use that benefit, that's what I will then look at with each person essentially and figure out like, okay, this thing that you have done, is this just a personal lesson that you have outgrown as a strategy and we need to move on from that strategy, but keep the lesson? Or is this something that we can utilize and it might become a low-end product like a membership or a subscription or something like that, while you yourself upgrade to premium model and move on to working with specific clients. So nothing ever needs to be actually broken. There's always a way to kind of pivot without damaging what you have. As far as the reputation and that some people will not like it, that is always the case as far as some people not liking it, because you can't please everybody. But at the same time, reputation to me, it's more about personal integrity. So if the individual herself is in integrity when she's making the choice, the energy is so congruent and in alignment that everybody feels that. So they understand, even if they won't go with her where she is going, they feel like, oh, but I totally get why you're doing that. I can see that this is your next step. That's because it's in integrity with the person. So the integrity or the reputation, as you said, never gets damaged through the process. As far as the people, some people get to go with you to the next level. Sometimes it's pivoting into a different niche altogether, but most of the time it's actually just upgrading what you have. Most of the time, especially if somebody been doing their business for a while. So I'm not saying somebody who like last year didn't make any money and then within a year suddenly got to, 100 grand. That's different. But then sometimes there's a pivot. But somebody who's been doing business for maybe 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and now ready to move on beyond and realizing I can't work any harder, so I need to work somehow smarter. And then they work with their energetics, they usually upgrade what they have, not break it apart, but upgrade, which means certain percentage of the clients that they have actually go up with them because of the type of service they now end up providing. And they also attract, of course, new clients at that level.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's really about bringing it all together and stepping into your soul mission, which is my next question to you, is really how do you bring that soul mission into having that fulfilling business and also generating an income from it? Because a lot of people also hit that ceiling in terms of, am I still in integrity if I'm now moving past the 6-figure mark and actually moving into the multiple 6 or even 7-figure mark in my business?
Yeah, soul mission is it's sort of a something that you meant to do before you came into this lifetime. So because I see energy in a multidimensional sense, to me, each person is not just like, okay, this is who you are, but this is who you are now. And then you were something else before and you will be something else in the future. So I tend to look at it within the flow of the timeline. And that means that when we come into a physical existence, we have a specific contract, something that we're meant to do. That's what people usually call their purpose or their mission. And it's never a thing we meant to do in a physicalized way. Like people think, oh, my mission is to write a book or to create a business or nonprofit organization or to build a building or whatever. Those are never missions. Soul doesn't care about that. Soul only cares about personal development and joy and pleasure and fulfillment and service of all life. But those are more things that our human personalities come up with as a ways to anchor the mission in. So that's sort of part of the answer here as to what's the mission. Mission is something bigger than the more materialized things. It's more of what you actually meant to do. Like, let's say a mission could be to connect people to each other by being able to provide them with an energy that goes in between them. So that person could then be a good mediator or a coach for couples, let's say, or something like that. So this would be the application of the type of mission that they have, right? Or my mission is to expand the possibilities and show people that there is actually life beyond this and that we create our own reality. And I can do this through many different things. Like I've wrote 3 books, I've traveled and I've taught around the world in many different components. So those are just different ways, how the mission could be anchored. So if we sort of look at what the mission is in a package, it's usually what you meant to do, like what you bringing through, what's your contract. It's also your soul expertise, as in something that is uniquely yours. So it's sort of like your zone of genius, but it's a little bit more specific. There is a unique brilliance to each person that we're bringing that nobody has, which by the way cuts out all the competition, because if you fully stand in that, you're the only one that does that. So there's that. And then the third component is, who do you have a contract with as a frequency range that you meant to serve? Like what kind of people? So this is sort of an upgraded concept of a niche, instead of a niche in a market sense, like, I could sell to these people, so I should. Instead, it becomes more like, no, who do I meant to sell to? Because those are the people who already needing this gift that I brought. So we find the right frequency that matches that. So everything about the soul mission, it's essentially who you are in a unique way that is coming here. Your expertise, your talents, your gifts, who are the audience that you meant to do it with. And then when that's packaged into a business, then a person actually gets to live that mission. So it doesn't feel like you're working, because it feels like you're just doing what you meant to do anyway, with the people who are fully receptive to what you're bringing through, because they are needing it, they're loving it, they already contracted with you on the other side of life before they even incarnated. So that feels really just so awesome. Everybody's feeling like it's totally amazing that they are in the process of doing their business and serving people, and they're their clients, who, that's what people call dream clients or ideal clients or just magical clients, soulmate clients, because those clients contracted with you from the other side. And those are also the people who are easily willing to pay premium prices because they understand the value. So that also takes care of that component as to, well, how do I upgrade to premium? When do I find those clients? If you're doing your life mission, that is already pre-installed. All you need to do is actually fully step into your soul mission, and that's what comes to you.
Yeah, so that's obviously the first step, is really to focus on you and do that inner work and do that personal development in terms of finding out what your soul mission is, finding out who those clients are, and is that, how can a person go about doing that, besides working with you, obviously? Is it something that people instinctively know, or because I know a lot of times people can logically try and work this out and say, like you said, I've worked with these kind of people in the past, or this is what I know, so I can do this. What other ways are there for them to really connect with those contracted clients that they are meant to work with?
Right. Well, one of the main things I would say is ask yourself, instead of what can I sell or what can I do, what do I want to do? What do I desire to do? What would I love to put out to the audience and then get paid for? So that's already a question that's navigating it towards more of the heart instead of the head. And as far as the soul expertise and the soul mission piece, that most people have some intuitive inkling about. I mean, it's never a shock when I tell the person. They go like, oh, I've always known that. I just like don't fully own it, or I just dismiss it. I think it's not that big of a deal. But it's something that you probably know about yourself. And it's usually the thing that other people thank you for or comment on. It's something that you might not even think is anything. Like my example of somebody who knows how energetically match people. They might be saying like, oh, you're just so great. Like, how did you know that I will be awesome friend with this person? How did you know that I was supposed to meet so-and-so? And that is actually part of what that person's expertise was. So what I do is more like help clarify it, refine it, and then apply it onto business so you can actually make money doing it. But as far as like, how can you know? Well, think of like, what is your zone of genius? That is something you do naturally. That is something that you do with ease. There is no effort or work involved. It just feels like you just would do it in the middle of the night. If somebody woke you up, you could still do it. And it's something that other people tend to really appreciate about you. It could be holding space in a specific way, and you always get commented on like, oh, I just feel so great in your company. I always feel better. As soon as I talk to you, somehow I just feel better. Well, that's part of that person's soul expertise. Or somebody might have a natural ability to put things in order, like the step-by-step process. You tell them something complex and you're freaking out, and they go like, oh, all you need to do is just this and then do this and then do that. And you go like, wow, how did you know that? Okay, that's a soul expertise. And those are just basic examples. But yeah, to find out what that is, you have to kind of go back into yourself from the reflective standpoint and look at, what do I do with ease, very naturally? What do I love doing? And what do people generally reflect to me as that they get a great result? But I probably don't value that as a skill. I just see this as me being me. which is the very point that that's your soul expertise, because it is you being you.
Exactly. We can't see our own blind spots. We can't see our own strengths. We're invisible to ourselves, right? We are seen through the eyes of others, and that's why we work together, and that's why we reflect each other, so that we can learn about these strengths and skills that we have. So let's talk about scaling in your business. Is it a myth or a truth that you can scale with ease and flow?
It is totally possible, but the component that is usually missing is that it's not done according to one's soul design. Instead, the person tries to do it according to some external strategy. So when we do it according to external strategy, we end up twisting ourselves to fit the strategy, and that is not sustainable, which means there will be a burnout in the end. But if we want to scale with flow, with ease, and back to the quantum field I was talking about, everything is a wave, right? So if we ride that wave because we're in a perfect alignment with it, we naturally have ease and flow. That's what everybody wants. Just most people don't know how to ride a wave. But to ride that wave, you have to be in your soul mission, your soul expertise, in your brilliance, and work from there, which means whatever your unique soul design, which connects to how your energy system essentially built in this lifetime, that needs to be integrated into what you're doing. Like, let's say if somebody is not the type of a person that they tend to talk, like talking is difficult for them, but they may be great at writing. If they try to do a business marketing strategy in the form of, let's say, videos, YouTube channel or something, that would be really painful. They can do it, but it would be painful long term. If on the other hand, they utilize their writing tool in a form of either writing a book or writing articles or writing whatever it is, but using that mechanism, they will have much better result and feel more at ease. Or somebody who is more of a natural talker and then tries to be a writer. Same thing, right? Whatever is for them that feels more like, with people like this, I even tell them to talk out their blogs instead of writing them, and record it and then transcribe it. That's way better for that person because it feels so natural and in the flow. And this is just like really basic stuff that I'm saying here. It actually gets more complex. But these are the simple sort of components that when you scale, even like with a team or doing yourself, it's such a thing nowadays that everybody says, well, you should have a team. When you go higher up, you cannot do it without a team. You have to delegate. I would say yes or no, and it depends what you're doing. I've seen many really high level coaches who are making million or more, and they have maybe one person that's helping them or two. There's no big team. So it's not actually needed for some types of soul design. It is needed for others. People have different tolerance for how their energy flows. Some people, they start the project, they have the idea, they get the ball rolling, and then they get disinterested. And if they keep that ball rolling, they will kill themselves in the process. They have to delegate. They have to hire somebody to then do the process. Versus somebody who actually enjoys the details, they would feel almost betrayed if they have to give up the details. So they need to actually be doing the details, but organize their business around it in such a way that they are still focusing on the premium frequencies. Premium frequencies is vibrationally actually higher. You know, premium clients are not just the clients who are paying more money. They are the clients who are doing the work. They're the clients who contracted with you. They're the clients who are excited and willing and ready versus the ones that you have to put a lot of energy, effort to struggle with. So all of those components are parts of scaling in the correct way, in the correct energetics.
I love that. I really love how it all comes together. And it's not just, like you said, it's not just the logical strategy. It's not just doing what worked in the past. It's really looking at this from a much bigger, much deeper, much more energetic perspective, rather than just what you can see on the surface and what has proven and what has given you results in the past. For a lot of people working in the transformational space, we can get sucked in by results and we can feel like we can help everybody. So you spoke about the soul design and how you can start really seeing what your soul expertise is. How do you find those frequency clients, those high frequency clients that you are meant to work with? What are some of the steps that you can do to make sure that as you go into this next level of your business, that you're connecting with those right level clients?
Well, the first two very basic steps is one, you have to become a premium person within yourself. So you have to upgrade yourself to that frequency, because if you're not there, that's like your clients are on a, I don't know, level 5 and you're on a level 3. Well, you can't find them. So you have to actually go at the same level where the people you want to serve are frequency wise. That's one. And two, you have to have inner space. When there's not enough inner space, nothing happens, because then we're just too much in do mode. And that's actually how we burn out. And that's the self-sacrifice component that I always watch out for with my clients, because so often, especially women, we tend to have that sense of duty, you know, like we want to help and we want to be there and we want to serve, and we kind of overdo it, overserve, overgive, and over-contribute in a way that then there's nothing left and we don't have any more space. And as soon as you don't have space, you go down in frequency. So step one is actually kind of counterintuitive a little bit, because you actually have to upgrade yourself by creating space, which means kind of push away some of the responsibilities that you've created in your life in order to find yourself. And then from that place, you then attract the correct clients. It's a resonance. The universe works on a low resonance. Whatever you're broadcasting, that's what you're attracting. Two frequencies have to match. So when we're broadcasting, I don't have enough of this, how do I find that? Where is that? How do I do that? All we're doing is we're broadcasting lack. And universe does not speak English, it speaks frequency. So all it's hearing is essentially, oh, you don't want more clients, you don't want more money, you don't want to know how to do this. Okay, there you go, more of that. And we create what we have already. If we want to actually upgrade, then we have to focus on abundance, on the conscious wealth component of the energetics, which means standing in the energy of, I'm so grateful for how wonderful my clients are, or I am so in pleasure of working with this person who I'm helping to have this incredible result. It's teeny little points of frequency reference within us. The more we do that, the more we upgrade where we are, and we start to resonate at the frequency where those premium clients are. So then the people who are at the place that they're saying, okay, well, I'm already successful, I'm already doing stuff, I'm already capable, I know I can do stuff, but I'd like to collapse the timeline and do it faster, or I'd like to avoid some detours, or I'd like to not have to fall into some, you know, blind spots that I'm not seeing. That's why I want somebody to guide me. That's more of a premium client, and that's the one we want to match, not somebody who's, how do I do this? Help me, please rescue me, because that's a lower level client. So not to say there's anything wrong with helping people at that level, but that is not a type of a business that we're talking about with the soul mission. That's usually more of a charity type of a business that's built on just kind of generalized product or service that helps generalized group of people. When we get to the more sort of a top frequencies, higher frequencies, there's much more specification that's happening in who you are and in who needs exactly the frequency that you brought. Sort of like a ting, and then there's somebody out there that has the same ting. And people usually think like, oh, does it mean I like have contract with specific person? Sometimes, but most of the time not. It's a specific frequency range. So like if you vibrate within sort of from ting to ting, that's your range, that's your soul expertise, that's where everything you're bringing. And maybe because of life stuff, pain, whatever, you kind of slid down from that, then you're not attracting these clients. If you match that frequency, so now you're back at the level that you actually meant to be living, and it feels incredible, amazing, energy just goes through you, you're like in the service mode and in the flow of abundance. Now the people who you contracted with, they're within that range. They might not know you, but they will know that frequency, they will recognize the frequency, and they would say, oh, I've never met her before, but I just like her. There's something there that just pulls me. I hear this all the time, and I hear from all my clients that I train how to do that same thing, that it's not that somebody read their website copy or studied their bullet points in marketing and decided mentally that this is the right coach for me. Instead, it's more like they just saw that person speak somewhere or heard them on a podcast, and then, oh my God, I have to somehow find more about them and be around them. And then they end up hiring them. That's more of what I'm talking about as the frequency resonance match.
Yeah, completely. And I've experienced that so many times. You know, we don't make our decisions from the brain, we make it from the heart, we make it with our intuition. really from that body intelligence part rather than from what we and a lot of people get stuck in that. I know a lot of six-figure coaches are now looking at hiring copywriters, getting professional sales pages done, and they really get stuck in that. It takes a long time, it takes a big budget just all to get that minute detail right, or the technical detail right. And it's not really about that, it's more about the energy. And once you are clear and you're standing in your power of what it is that you're saying, how you're helping people, where you are, when you're at that frequency that you are meant to be, that's when you're attracting the right clients without all the fancy marketing stuff that's happening all around that.
Exactly. And I actually have worked with many clients where I had to almost like change the stuff that they hired other people to do. Like we literally had to figure out like, okay, I would read their website after seeing them. And I said, there's no resonance. Like you're not that. That may be most professionally written website, super awesome, great language, but there's none of you in there. So we have to modify that anyway to fit the person into the amazing copy. So most of the time I find that all these components are, they needed for business, but they're not as needed. Like I started my business long time ago, no website, no online presence, no nothing. I had a flyer and I would just, if somebody asked, what do? I would give them a flyer. Most of the time people didn't ask. They just said, can I pay you? I want to work with you. And I had a flyer. Would you like to see how I work? Whatever. Thank you. Like it didn't even matter because that's really not what's attracting the right people. When you need all this other stuff, that's what, Tanya, we were talking about us to get to the six-figure mark. That's a lot of times when you're learning how to do business. Yes, all of this is good. And we kind of all have to go through that boot camp of like figuring out the basics. But once you get there, none of that really matters. That's not what pulls in the frequency.
Yeah, I love that. And so on that note, I believe you've got a free gift for our audience where you're sharing specific areas in a business that they can look at in terms of how to actually bring in this whole energetic part that we've been speaking about today. Can you share a little bit more about that gift?
Yeah, it's an ebook that has a practical component and component when you're actually learning something. It's called Conscious Wealth Energetics Guide, how to set your energy correctly for a six-figure plus business to reach more high-end clients and feel fulfilled and joyful without burnout or self-sacrifice. So in that ebook, you will have parts that I actually want you guys to fill out. That's the whole point. You can print it out and write it by hand, or you can do it online if you want to, but the purpose of this is not to just read it and say, oh, okay, that's an interesting concept, which mind you, it will be interesting concept because it's probably not something you normally hear. But if you spend a little bit longer and fill out some of the questions that I have within that ebook, you will learn so much more about yourself and you will start to see, oh, that's where I'm a little off. Oh, that's what I need to be correcting. Oh, that's the piece that I didn't even notice before. So it's sort of designed to help you not just understand something better as far as the conscious wealth energetics goes, but understand how that and you are related and what you can do to upgrade yourself a little bit, so that you can start yourself on that path and integrate it into your business to whatever extent that you can yourself.
Perfect. I love it. And I'm sure our audience cannot wait to dive into that. You can find the link right underneath this interview. So just click the link and you can go through and complete that information. Eugenia, where else can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you? They've loved your energy today. They want to know more. Where can they find you?
Yeah, and usually what people do is they either look through my website or they contact me through my contact form in order to have a conversation with me. So the direct link is www.eugeniaoganova.com. So just my name essentially. That way it brings you to the page where you can see one of my main programs. You can see little videos, so you can see more explanation of how I work, and you can click a button there to fill out a questionnaire so that we can set up a free chat. That conversation is no obligation, but this is how we can see if we're a match frequency, because I only take people that are a match to work with me. That's really important to me. I'm a person of integrity. I would never try to take somebody just for the sake of, because they want. No, it always has to be a match. So if it's a match, and if I know that I can help you, I will show you how, and then you make a decision. So definitely contact me, and you can see on my website, there's so many things. I'm sure Tanya would have a link to my website underneath here, that there's so much information. I think there's 200 pages there of different blogs and materials. So you can really spend a lot of time reading and educating yourself.
Eugenia, this has been absolutely amazing. Is there any last parting thoughts that you would like to share with our audience? Like just bringing this all together, they're ready to scale past the 6-figure mark. What is the one takeaway that you'd like them to take away from today?
Well, to summarize everything I said, if we had to take like one essence component, is you create from where your focus is. So whatever you're paying attention to, that's the point of your creation. That's how you collapse out of all the wave potential, something that becomes a particle, becomes your reality. So pay attention what you're paying attention to. If you're focusing on lack and you constant thoughts on, I don't have, how do I, that's a miscreation of reality. So if you want to upgrade and scale and do all these wonderful things that feel actually fulfilling and joyful instead of hard, then you need to make sure that you're focusing on something that's abundance based, as an enoughness, like more than enough. That's the wealth. And wealth doesn't just mean money. Wealth means your health, your spaciousness, your gratitude, like all those things, they're all part of wealth, like experience of being abundant, being wealthy. So focus on that and be very conscious where you're putting your focus. And the more you do that, the more you're going to create correct waves that then attract that premium level you're looking for.
I love it. Thank you so much, Eugenia. These are just amazing nuggets of gold that you have shared with us today. Lovely wealth nuggets that you shared with us. Thank you for your time, and it's been just an amazing experience. And to our audience, thank you. I just want to commend you again for showing up, really investing the time and effort to learn about this, to take your business to that next level. Now you know that it's possible to do it with ease and flow, using just some of these simple, not so easy always, but really simple principles. When you focus and have the right intention around it, you can really create that business and life of your dreams. So thank you again, Eugenia. It's been amazing. And thank you to our audience, and we will see you again. Bye for now.
Thank you, Tanya.